he has come in and delivered one of the best performances, if not the best performance we've seen out of any player. That guy is gold dust right now. The number, you just think about how big that number has to be after how well he's performed.
Welcome to Curveball, presented by Razer. Blitz ahead of the competition with the Razer Viper Ultimate. And now we're going to get into things a little bit deeper on Sentinels. Our overall winners, they were the champions. They walked away with the big trophy in the first LAN event here for the big international stage of Valorant history. And the thing I did want to look at as well, we touched on things with like Fnatic, Liquid, Riot having these great setups within the team of coaches, analysts, these different centers they've been able to play out of. When you come to Sentinels, there's a lot of this just on ShahZaM's back, right? fRoD, he's having to put in so much work and try and make this happen, and yet still walks away with such an incredible victory.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to him. That's why he was my MVP there, just simply because not only is he able to bring in new strategies for this tournament, he's able to complement all of his players, mix styles up, mix different agents, go different metas if he wants to. I mean, and if he's able to do this, by himself, I think that makes it even better because he has no one there helping him, no second set of eyes, second set of information coming through. I mean, he's pretty much just extracting the information that he wants out of these VODs and then trying to incorporate it immediately. So I think if anything, it's just one of the things that you see these experienced players coming through, whether they were leaders in different games or not, or maybe they've been around leaders or different coaches in their previous games. They have this understanding of taking on some of these responsibilities, and it's clear that ShahZaM has put everything that he's kind of learned in all the different games and different personalities and people that he's been around to kind of be this leader of like a diverse group, coming into a tournament that you're the most watched team, you're the favorite team, and you come out without even losing a map. I mean, hats off to him for all the prep work, all the work that he was doing while they were at the tournament, and just being a Sentinels team that was not the same one that we were watching online all the time. And I think that is very, very impressive to see someone switching styles up like that, within a few weeks. And, hats off to him on that.
In terms of the depth that Sentinels have, I think you got to give a lot of props to ShahZaM, obviously, as we're saying, but there's also something to be said about the caliber of player available when it comes to the North American region. I mean, we all know the state of another competitive FPS out there is slowly declining, and a lot of players are jumping ship. So you're getting guys who are at the top of their game or who have been at the top of the game, have the experience under their belt. You're adding in some guys like, I know Zombs, I think he's competed on about every esport on this planet at this point. And when you've that level of depth, not having a coach in there, you can kind of make up for it by your on-the-fly adaptations because you're so familiar with the ins and outs of competitive shooters, of TAC FPSs, and of team play that combine that with the amount of work that these guys put in, they're managed to look like a very, very well-oiled machine, even though they don't have the structure that we typically think of when it comes to professional teams.
Now, fRoD, do you think that when it comes to actually like the Sentinels setup at the moment, do you think this is something like they're a big organization? Surely they can just go out and add a coach or analyst, or is it something they're trying to stay away from? Like for me, as you get this big win, great, yeah, but going forward, surely this extra support and this extra network of help will be a massive assistance for them.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, it's, coaches, they kind of fill a void in some sort of cases, and they try and be like good assistants in some ways and try to make sure that everything's taken care of. I mean, if these guys are such professionals in their own rights that they're able to do this, then they don't necessarily need one. What happens is that they have to at least accept that this is a responsibility that they have to have, which is not having a coach. And then say, for example, they get into a situation where ShahZaM, maybe he can't do some of these anti-stratings or watching these VODs, the other players, I'm positive that they will put in the work because they all have that kind of environment. So I think that, from just my teams and just being an old school player that, had some success without a coach, really what it boils down to is every individual on the team carrying the load and respecting your IGL enough to know that it should not only be on him. Now, if he wants to go ahead and carry that load, if he wants to be that, then that's what a great leader he is and how developed he is. But at the same time, every single person on the team has to carry some bit of responsibility when it comes to the strategic depth that they provide to allow the team to be that way. And that's something that I think that we can kind of see a little bit of a difference is the depth of the player agents and the player pool that some of these guys have, like SicK, TenZ, even ShahZaM, and that's where it's like they're able to find whatever works, bring different styles, keep teams guessing, and essentially whatever they want to bring out kind of works because they have faith in it and they have confidence in it because they put a lot more faith and practice on the things that are maybe outside of the server, like the communication, the chemistry, and just being a solid team there that allows them to kind of just be a different beast in some of these tournaments, especially when they're the most looked at team.
I actually think that it's a great point, Faith, to bring up, because the faith in your teammates when you don't have that, and when I say support structure earlier, or support, I meant support structure, right? Like your coach, your analyst, that sort of thing. It's like being left in the class alone without a teacher, right? You're in a group project. Some guys are just gonna mess about, like, oh, no one's looking at what we're doing. Let's make paper airplanes. But these guys are sitting down. They're getting the science project done because they want that A+. They want to be coming out on top. And it's even more impressive then when you add in the factors that have led to TenZ being in this team, because they haven't had a lot of time. They're putting in TenZ. He is fit like a glove. I mean, he's been beautiful to watch go on to Sentinels. I think he's improved them a lot, certainly on the people that were there previously. And then to go in and have that sort of a good flow, a good workflow without need, like it speaks to motivation and trust in your teammates, and those are things that are kind of hard to come by. Like, you can trust your teammates, but for them to also put in as much work as you do, it's a beautiful thing, and it speaks to these guys as competitors, which I think has come with the level of experience that the majority of these players have over the last many years.
Now, another thing I've got to touch on here, Mitch, is we heard good old Scream in the press conference.
Obviously, the Sentinels have like amazing players individually, but I feel like what they do is very predictable.
NA predictable. ShahZaM was quick to jump in there, and say like, we're not. Well, he certainly proved the point, right? They were not. They were not predictable in any sense of the word.
Yeah, 100%. You know, when you talk about North America being predictable in general, I'll give it to you for some teams. I'll give it to you for some EU teams as well, though. When it comes to Sentinels, they are not a team that fit the region. I think they're far and above, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of pretty much every team that came to Iceland, they said that the quality of teams when they were scrimming was so much higher in Europe. The North American teams were saying that as well. We even heard it from Sentinels and V1, I think from almost every player. But this is the thing. Sentinels are so far above what I expect from the North American region. When you watch those games, I see high competition. I see like top 10 of North America can compete with the top 20 of EU, sure, but at the very peak, it is a top heavy region for me. Sentinels are miles ahead of everybody else, and thinking that them, or even V1, for factors like their stand-in, for factors like the fact that they've had a lot of time to prepare coming into this tournament, and there's a lot of data out there, you're not going to sit back and go, oh yeah, we're just going to pug it. Yeah, whatever. Let's go look at the volcanoes. You're going to put in that time to anti-strat your opponents and to look at yourself as your opponents will, and to think, what are they going to see as our weaknesses and how can we capitalize on that? And if you come into a game when another team has put the work into learning how you play, has put the work into understanding how they play and adapting it so that they can catch you off in what you want to do to counter them, and you decide to just go loosey-goosey and, oh, we'll just destroy them, you're gonna get wrecked. And I think we saw that happen.
Yeah, and I think that the other thing too is you have to look at some of the way that the players play, like even on the Sentinel side, like the way that TenZ plays, like you can't predict what he does. So just right off the bat, like when you have players that individually do such wild things, like even when you see someone like SicK on Sage, like you can't predict what he's going to do because he's going to get really aggressive on you as well. So it's kind of one of these things that like you can't predict like the mayhem that the individual is bringing to the table. And then, when you add in like some strategic depth, some execs, a good amount of practice, I mean, that's what makes, I think, that whole Sentinels team very unpredictable, because it's really all about the players individually bringing something different to the table that's able to just, bring a different comp and a different look every single time if Sentinels wanted to against whoever.
And I guess finally, right, one question we certainly would like answered here is TenZ fits in like a glove, you said, Mitch, but surely he stays now, right? Surely he doesn't go anywhere. You want to keep this man on the team.
So I heard some conversation before we were coming into Masters. I mean, TenZ spoke about it on his stream as well, right? That he wants to play with these guys. He said in that Masters interview after they won that this is the best team. I think he said it before that as well, that he has ever played with. That's high praise coming from TenZ. The reality is, though, especially after his performance in Masters, where I think we, like, realistically, put surprise MVPs aside, as a real MVP, it is TenZ. Now, you look at the fact that they're already a little bit hesitant at buying him, and then he's the MVP of the first international Masters event, the first international Valorant event, where they won, where they got the 200K under the belt. I do not even want to think about how much that's going to cost Sentinels if they want to buy him now. That is going to be the only factor, and I say that with confidence. I rarely talk about roster changes or anything like that with confidence, because there's so many things behind the scenes. But anybody who decides they don't want TenZ has been lobotomized. You need him on your team. He is the best player in the world right now, and the only thing that will stop him from playing on Sentinels, especially because he wants to, is dollar bills. And I certainly hope Sentinels, whether they have to rob banks, I don't know what they're gonna have to do, but I hope they come up with that money.
I mean, when you look at someone like TenZ right now, I mean, I don't think he's ever going to find a better situation and a better team to be on. So I really hope for all of us, for the fact that we want to witness this, we want to see him do these things on the server. Yeah. I really hope that he can, because I don't think we'll ever get to see TenZ have that kind of similar success and playstyle and just that kind of positivity and just the vibes that he's got with a different team. And it's like, I really want to see him on Sentinels. I really hope that, you know, they can make that happen and he does get on there, so we could all witness this, you know?
Yeah. We could be witnessing history in terms of transfers in esports. Like, the number, you just think about how big that number has to be after how well he's performed and consistently and slotted into a team at maybe not the last minute, but with fairly short notice. He has come in and delivered one of the best performances, if not the best performance we've seen out of any player. That guy is gold dust right now. So yeah, it's not a question of anything motivation-wise, team-wise, who wants him, who doesn't. Everyone in the world wants him right now, but that means that it's going to be the guy with the big wallet that gets him.
Or start a petition.
Yeah, we will. We'll start it right here on the show, right? Keep TenZ on Sentinels.